Welcome, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. I was starting the intro and realized I had some stuff I didn't have set up, so I'm a class act, and I did it all in like less than 10 seconds because I had no other option. So, anyway, glad you are here. We have what I, particularly myself, deem to be a very funny, I guess would be the word, funny story that's going on, just due to the nature of everything in the gaming industry going on right now. So let's take a gander. If I can click on the right thing. Video gamer Electronic Arts to be acquired for $52.5 billion in largest ever private equity buyout. Someone doesn't like how EA is run. So, Electronic Arts, the maker of video games like Madden NFL, Battlefield, and The Sims, is being acquired for $52.5 billion in what could become the largest buyout ever funded by private equity firms. Silver Lake Partners, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund PIF, and Affinity Partners will pay EA stockholders $210 per share. Affinity Partners is run by President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Last time I checked, they weren't on good terms, but I could be out of the loop because I don't really pay attention to that stuff. The deal is valued at $55 billion if EA's debt is included, far exceeding the $32 billion price tag to take Texas utility TXU private in 2007, which had shattered records for leveraged buyouts. PIF, which is currently the largest insider stakeholder in Electronic Arts, will be rolling over its existing 9.9% investment in the company. The commitment to the massive deal is in line with recent activity in the gaming sector by Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, wrote Andrew Merrick of Raymond James. The Saudi PIF has been a very active player in the video game market since 2022, taking the minority stakes in the most scaled public video game publishers and also outright purchases of games like ESL, Faceit, and Scopely. Did I say games? I meant companies. Wow! I just woke up, sorry. The PIF has made its intentions to scale its gaming arm, Savvy Gaming Group, clear, and the EA deal would represent the biggest such move to date by some distance. PIF is also a minority investor in Nintendo. If the transaction closes as anticipated, it will end EA's 36-year history as a publicly traded company that began with its shares ending its first day of trading at a split adjusted 52 cents. The IPO came 7 years after EA was founded by former Apple employee William Tripp Hawkins, who began playing analog versions of baseball and football made by Stratomatic as a teenager during the 1960s. CEO Andrew Wilson, an ortho bro. It's not him, but has led the company since 2013, and he will remain in that role, the firm said Monday. I don't know why. Electronic Arts would be taken private, and its headquarters remain in Redwood City, California. I also don't know why. Electronic Arts is an extraordinary company with a world-class management team and a bold vision for the future. Is it, though? Because they make some really stupid decisions in the business world. But okay, let's take you at your face value. Said Kushner, CEO of Affinity Partners. I've admired their ability to create iconic, lasting experiences, and as someone who grew up playing their games and now enjoys them with his kids, I couldn't be more excited about what's ahead. Well, yeah, but the EA that we grew up on as kids is not even remotely in the same universe as the EA that we have now. So clearly, he's off his rocker, or he doesn't have much, knowledge or experience with video games as he might let on. The size of the video game market has attracted large investors in recent years. I don't know why. It's only the biggest... Get out of here. It's only the biggest industry in the world. One of EA's biggest rivals, Activision Blizzard, was snapped up by technology powerhouse Microsoft for nearly $69 billion in 2023, while the competition from mobile video game makers such as Epic Games has intensified. Epic Games is trash. This marks the second high-profile deal involving Silver Lake and a technology company with a legion of loyal fans in recent weeks. Silver Lake is also part of the newly formed joint venture spearheaded by Oracle, involved in a deal to take over the U.S. oversight of TikTok's social video platform. Although all the details of the complex transaction haven't been divulged yet, I don't care. Silver Lake has also bought out 2 other well-known technology companies, the now-defunct video calling service Skype in a $1.9 billion deal completed in 2009, and a $24.9 billion buyout of personal computer maker Dell in 2013. After Dell restructured its operations as a private company, it returned to the stock market with publicly traded shares in 2018. I like to point out, Skype, nobody uses Skype. So that was a bad business investment, and or it was a good investment and they had morons run it. That's the simplicity of it. And Dell's not like, I mean, they're not the worst, but they're not the best when it comes to like computer making. Their desktops are much better than their laptops. At least they used to be. And then Dell bought Alienware, which used to make top tier gear and now makes trash gear. So, it's, what are you going to do? By going private, EA will be able to retool operations without worrying about market reactions. I actually don't think that's true, because no matter how good you are at your operations, if no one buys your product, you suck. It's that simple. Although its video games still have a fervent following, EA's annual revenues have been stagnant during the past 3 fiscal years, hovering from $7.4 billion to $7.6 billion. Well, yes, because you're not giving people what they want, you're telling people what they want. That's why. Can this go away? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Shove off. Anyway. Where'd we go? Mike Hickey of the Benchmark Company thinks the proposed deal's $210 per share offer price might be falling short of EA's intrinsic value. With Battlefield 6 about to launch in a pipeline that could add more than $2 billion in incremental bookings by fiscal year 28, the true earning power of EA is the only beginning to emerge. That's not how that works. Just because you do good on one game does not mean all of a sudden all your games are good, all your products are good. Hickey is unsure if the transaction is in shareholders' best interests. Well, it's going private, so it doesn't really matter, now does it? The board's decision to recommend a sale at $210 per share suggests a prioritization of near-term certainty and legacy over maximizing long-term shareholder value, he wrote to clients. He doesn't want them to sell. Probably for alternative reasons. But Nick McKay of Freedom Capital Markets believes the offer makes sense for EA because share price appreciation is likely limited given that the success of its sports franchises and various live service streams are already mostly baked into the stock. The financial backing and resources of the investor consortium should enable EA to increase its focus on long-term growth opportunities that may have been viewed as too risky or expensive as a public company, he wrote in an analyst note. EA shares rose 4.5% Monday after jumping 15% on Friday when reports of a possible takeover began to circulate. So everybody jumped in on that bandwagon. The deal is expected to close in the first quarter of fiscal 2027. It still needs approval from the EA shareholders. Now here's the thing. That's a whole year out. That's a whole year out. So they're still getting the Battlefield 6, I guess, is what it is. They're still getting the Battlefield 6 financial stuff. So if it's successful, they're successful. But I wonder what happens if EA in that time period tanks their own industry. Them, not the entire gaming industry as a whole, but like their own industry in gaming. By just releasing terrible games over and over and over again. Because EA has a pretty crappy fan satisfaction type of thing going on. So like, I don't know. I don't have enough faith in EA until they revert back to pre-2007, because pre-2007 was lit. Post, not so much. There's too many things that were amazing, and then they took over and went this whole everything needs to be a live service piece of trash, and it kind of just dumped off the edge. So I don't know about that. But what I also know, and I do know, and thanks to X and Grums for this, Electronic Arts devs are crashing out over the EA buyout. A big FU to all the women and LGBTQ+. What a shame. Maybe they should all self-deport out of the industry as a protest. Ha ha, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? So, The Sims. Trusted source reports on sentiments inside the EA developer team. The story about EA's buyout by a private investment from Affinity Partners, Saudi Arabia's private investment fund, and Silver Lake, hasn't just made a stir up within the community of players and creators. 2 anonymous employees at EA voiced that they are very concerned about this acquisition, one stating that they are afraid of layoffs that might occur with this buyout, and with the other stating that this feels like a big FU to all women and LGBTQ plus employees currently working at Electronic Arts. Now, I had found several things. Unfortunately, I lost them, so you have to take me at my word, but it should make sense considering it lines up perfectly with that we just saw. Sims, like community managers and their forums and everything, are just going nuts, seemingly. And they apparently are very upset because to put it bluntly, the people who give you a free trip off of a rooftop, is what they perceive it as, is going to be taking over the company, and they're going to give basically the entirety of the company a big old, what's the term? A big old go back to the 1300 BC time period. They think that women are going to be treated lesser than. They go, that's not how business operations work, especially when you're not in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia laws only apply to Saudi Arabia, so if EA decides to move to Saudi Arabia, maybe, but that's not the case. That's not the thing at all. And if by some random chance and or miracle, depending on how you look at it, EA did get rid of some female and or LGBTQ plus people from their employment rosters, they're not doing it because they hate them. They're doing it because it's not the best interest of the company due to the nature of business buyouts. Business buyouts are like, we're here to make money. I didn't just spend 55 billion, 52.5 technically speaking, to literally just fire women and LGBTQ plus. Like, that would be stupid. Yeah, I know they have stupid money, but that would be dumb for literally anybody. Nobody's gonna just be like, oh boy, guys, golly gee whiz, we can spend $50 billion and we can fire a couple women and a couple of them other LGBTQ plus people. Woo! Like, no one's doing that. That's just not, it's not happening. There's no way on this planet anybody's that stupid. Like, oh yeah, they have they have 20,000 employees. We could spend $50 billion and maybe get rid of, even if they got rid of all 20,000 or however many they have currently active, even if they paid that, 20,000 people getting fired isn't worth $55 billion. There's no reason for it. They're going for the business aspect because it's a big industry. And if you do the right moves, you shake the right hands, and you make what the people want, you can make bank. Like bank. The reason EA is as big as it is today is because they made bank by giving the players what they wanted. It's literally that simple. I can't make it any simpler. It's that simple. So, what do we know from this? Well, it's going to be interesting in 2027 because once they take over, there will probably be some shifting of the employees because maybe they think there's too much bloat and they need to shrink it, or maybe they need this, that, the other. But they're not changing the CEO. They're not changing a whole bunch of issues. So I don't really know. Like, they're not moving out of a state that's not that great. Like, they're not doing anything like manual overhaul or anything. Or maybe they're saying we won't and then they will. I don't know, but I doubt they will do that. But when it comes down to it, when pedal hits the metal, nothing's really going to change except potentially the output. Now, if people resist against the output, like if they change it from LGBTQ plus themes and they go to something else, well, that might entirely change the entire thing. And everybody might just be like, oh, well, I don't want to do this. And then they might have to start cleaning shop just because of the nature of things. So, and there goes the dog. Sorry. I have a whiny old dog. Tiny, but old and whiny. and he's always happy when mommy comes home. So, point of this being is that I don't think much is going to change at EA unless it gets really, really bad. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Leave a like, dislike, all that kind of stuff. And we'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. And, as always, walk in the light, my friends.